The usual rules don't apply here. Good thing, I don't like rules. But don't tell my kids. FM 107.1, living life out loud.
Well, her face is a map of the world, is a map of the world. You can see she's a beautiful girl, she's a beautiful girl. And everything around her is a silver pool of light. The people who surround her feel the benefit of it, it makes you count. She holds you captivated in her palm. Suddenly I see, this is what I wanna be. Suddenly I see, why the hell it means so much to me. Suddenly I see, this is what I wanna be. Suddenly I see, why the hell it means so much to me.
You're tuned into the second hour of Get Real Girls, and today we're celebrating Get Real Guys. We love it. Since it's Father's Day tomorrow, we thought that we'd celebrate those guys out there who are really consciously living their best lives. I think we can learn a thing or two from them, and we're going to learn something from this guy. David Beck is with us. He's a Fearless Living life coach. So Fearless Living is Rhonda Britton, who's been on our show multiple times. We love Rhonda. And David, he is also, you're going to love this, Colleen, he's a professional dancer and choreographer.
Love
and
it.
I know you love.
I do
You love the
dance.
So he's really combining.
He's Lord of the dance.
He's really combining his two loves in his career. He's moving his feet and he's moving people to live their best lives. Welcome to the show, David.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. So I got to be honest here. I was looking at Rhonda's website, the Fearless Living website, and you were the only guy who's a life coach. Are you like a rarity?
Well. Did you look through all the pages?
Maybe not.
But as far as the
Three or four of us in
front
Fearless
page.
Living.
Oh.
What's that?
There are 3 or 4 of us actually in Fearless Living.
But really, I mean, there are not a lot of you. So why do you think that is?
There takes a level of vulnerability and willingness, and Fearless Living really supported me in bringing that out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what Fearless Living means.
Fearless Living, what Fearless Living is really living your life to the fullest. We all have fear, all of us, every human being, men, women.
Yep.
We all have fear, and what it is moving through fear, the tools to really live in freedom. We all have expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And expectations set us up for disappointment and resentment and make us feel like a failure. And what it really is about is really living in intention. How do you want to show up in the world?
I was in a meeting the other day with a guy in corporate America, and I mentioned a life coach, and he kind of rolled his eyes, and he's like, life coaches? What is the deal with all these life coaches all of a sudden? What does that mean? Do you find that a lot of, are you seeing guys coming to you? Are they, in general, slower to adapt to life coaching phenomenon, or what?
Well, yes. I would say they're a little bit slower to adapt. That's because when it comes to life coaching, again, there's vulnerability behind it. It's being open and really being willing to take risks in our life and being willing to tell the truth and say, hey, I'm ready to change this about my life. It's not working anymore.
See, David.
We all need support, and who better than to have someone. Most life coaching is done over the phone, so who better to have someone support you over the phone that maybe you don't know to bounce ideas off of. So, yeah.
So, David, I have a question. We're kind of talking about that vulnerability that life coaching demands. And we say that as though men sort of have this expected inability to be vulnerable. Is that a learned behavior? Is that something... Are men just born with a lack of a desire to be vulnerable, or what is that?
Or is it conditioning from society, or what?
Well, I'm not a doctor by any means, but however,
but pretend
in our society, men most men that I have run into were strong and we need to keep our stuff together. And really, what I know for me, it's when I'm open and when I'm really honest and when I allow those tears to come, I'm really creating true intimacy. A true intimacy when I'm willing to share myself with another human being and all of myself. That's fabulous. So with men, we feel that we're going to be looked at as weak or stupid or a failure, and these are all fears that come up with us. That's fear wanting us to stay small and stay in our comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm suddenly remembering as you're saying this when I read like the Mars versus Venus books by John Gray about how men, don't want help and that women are always trying to kind of fix the problem. And I wonder if that's a piece of it. Like, I shouldn't need any help on, my life.
Absolutely. That's completely one of the reasons men are feeling. And I would say there are a lot of women as well.
Sure.
I can do this myself. I can fix myself. I can fix the problem. My grandmother always used to say this saying, you don't know what you're seeing because you're in the picture frame. You can't see the picture frame. And I can see what's outside, what's going on.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's an interesting way of looking at it. It's funny when you say that, I can do it myself, I can fix it myself. It reminds me of a 3-year-old in my life who always says, I'll do it my own self.
Yeah.
And how interesting it is that as children, when we're parenting or taking care of children, we want to tell them, it's okay to try to do it yourself, but it's okay to ask for help too. But then as you grow up, it's like we forget that lesson.
It is kind of one of those give and take things because it seems like other men, if you're a man, you'd like to be that strong guy and so other men can see that you are this tough masculine guy. But then that sensitive side, isn't that what attracts women?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
it is so difficult.
A quote comes to my mind that, Rhonda, one of my favorite quotes, no one can be fearless alone.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be the tough guy with your friends, but boy, that sensitive side, you don't want to show. Guys don't want to show that to other guys, but the women love that.
Yes.
They want to see that.
Take note.
Wow.
Now, we have had a lot of listeners say, boy, the life coach thing sounds interesting, but what exactly would happen if I hired a life coach? So can you just give our listeners an idea of what that relationship is like with a life coach?
Absolutely. Let me take a sip of water.
Because he's going to be a long answer.
What it is, we build a relationship. Most life coaching, like I said earlier, is done over the phone, and some are in person for people that are in areas. And what it is, it's a week-to-week basis. In the beginning, at least with me, it's a week-to-week basis, and we learn the fearless living principles and the tools, and we apply them in our life, and we work through the expectations and see where our excuses come up in life and shift them. And then after, we can keep continuing, and what it is we set goals to, for some want a different job. Some want to build intimacy in their relationships. Some want just to actually learn to communicate. And we work through that. And people are changing their lives.
Yeah, it's so cool. It really does seem to be growing, doesn't it?
Yes. Life coaching is the new. It's the happening.
I mean, you wouldn't go on a basketball team and just try to play without a coach,
Right.
A little guidance can.
That's not a good thing.
It didn't work out, did it?
David, what made you decide to take on this life coach role?
Well, as you said earlier, I'm a dancer and choreographer. I'm a dance instructor. So I've always loved supporting. And I turned on the TV one day and there was Starting Over. And I'm very intuitive. I follow my intuition. I follow my heart. And my heart said, you're going to work with her.
Cool.
And I signed up for the 12 monthly principles, which is actually now the Fearless Year, and then signed up for Change Your Life in 30 Days with Rhonda Britton herself, and worked with her and went to the workshops, and then decided, okay, I can do this and enter the coaching program, and I did it.
Yeah.
Wow, and the rest is history.
And now this is coming from someone who thought he would never be able to go to college.
That's so great.
So when I did, and the Fearless Living Institute is really, it's a college. I mean, we create a master thesis. It was one of the most life-changing acts in my life.
And how rewarding, I'm sure, to see that you're also helping your clients change their lives, too, in small and big ways.
What it's all about. It's being of service, and I am here to serve my purpose, which is to be of service, and it's to support the world in mastering their fears so we can really all live in freedom.
Creating a fearless world.
You know, my son has plans for college in 2 years, and he has ideas where he wants to go. But you know what? Mom might want to send him to the life coach college for a while. I think that would be an excellent thing for young people. To really
just even, have you heard of young people signing up with a life coach for a few sessions?
What a great thing.
Oh, absolutely. Some of my students, I'm doing something called dance coaching. And what I do is, 40 minutes of life coaching, and then we work it in with their dance and
that
and
is
their
so
choreography
cool.
and things of that nature. And we also on Fearless Living, we have Fearless Teens. So there's a whole Fearless Teens program.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think that's fabulous because a lot of people, I think, take the Fearless Living classes and get into that later in life when they've experienced more of life. But to have that before you venture out into the world, I just think that would be
That'd be fabulous.
wonderful. Yeah.
So
It's amazing.
Yes.
we have a link to David's website on our Get Real Girls pages at fm107.fm. But David, if somebody wants to find a life coach, and a good one, what would you recommend they do?
Definitely, you can visit www.fearlessliving.org, click on the Life Path portion, and then click on Find a Coach, as well as the ICF, International Coaching Federation.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Because that means that those coaches are accredited and have gone through all of the training necessary.
Correct.
Yeah.
And on the Fearless Living website, you will see all of the certified Fearless Living coaches.
And you are one of them. We're so glad you could join us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
It was such a
Absolutely.
pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you. We're talking about Get Real Guys today on Get Real Girls. Stay tuned for more.
FM 107.1.
Does life just happen to you, or do you happen to life? If you're going to make the most of every day you've been given, you're going to need tools, support, and dance music. I'm Leave Lane. We've got all the stuff you need on the Get Real Girls pages at fm107.fm. We do our homework, literally, and let you peek inside our souls. We've also got expert advice, tons of resources, inspirational stories from real women doing real cool things, and even the soundtrack to each show. Get a life at the Get Real Girls pages on fm107.fm. A change of heart can change your life. I'm Leave Lane from Get Real Girls. Shirley Dolland manages a team of great women who work behind the scenes at Eat Better America. But when Shirley first graduated from college, she had no intention of working in the world of food, but a change of heart led her back to school and straight into the kitchen.
I never thought my career would take me here. Actually, I have an undergraduate degree in social work and actually did that for a couple of years and decided that I really wanted to do something different. So I went back to school, got a master's degree in food and nutrition. I wrote my boss back and said, I can't believe they're paying me for this. You kind of feel like you're in a lab and you're creating things. And I like the creative part. I love to put together very different things and to come up with something. I can't paint, but to me, this is just as creative. It really makes a difference when you love what you're doing. I find my day goes fast, my week goes fast, my year goes fast, and I just feel very fulfilled at the end of the day.
Changing course after jumping into a career is never easy, but Shirley says it's important to do whatever it takes to follow your passion.
You will know that you might be in the wrong area, and you just kind of need to take the leap of faith. If you have a feeling that this other area might be right for you, just to take that leap of faith and go and try it and move on with your life.
Shirley says one of the most rewarding parts of her job is working on the Healthify Your Recipe section of EatBetterAmerica.com, where she and her team create healthier versions of classic, family favorite recipes by altering the basic ingredients.
Can the sugar be reduced a little bit? Can you use an egg substitute where there are whole eggs? Can we use a different kind of oil, a little bit healthier oil? So again, it's so that people can look and kind of see what we've done there and be able to walk away and do the very same thing on their own.
You can view fun behind-the-scenes videos and interviews with Shirley and her team at EatBetterAmerica.com. Click on Recipes and then on Healthify Your Recipe. That's EatBetterAmerica.com.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but it is hot outside, and all I want to do is be inside in air conditioning, and that makes me very creative when I'm nice and cool. And that's why I would suggest all of us, in order to keep cool, go to Artsy Tartsy.
Because they have air conditioning?
Well, they have air conditioning, first of all. And second of all, you can get all kinds of things to do while you're inside in your air conditioning. You can get really creative at Artsy Tartsy if you need to be inspired or...
You said get real.
She said get real.
It's like we're 12.
We are. And we are 12 when we do our crafts at Artsy Tartsy. Go there to get inspired on scrapbooking. You could, if you're into rubber stamping, they have that there. They also specialize in beading. But, you know, I've found things that are not even remotely tied to scrapbooking. I've found other kinds of fun activities and crafts that are just gorgeous, that are going to look really great in my new office, in my new house. Artsy Tartsy with 2 locations in Plymouth and Savage. Get in from this nasty heat and get creative.
You're listening to Get Real Girls, presented weekly by EatBetterAmerica.com.
I have a confession. I can't commit to a diet or exercise program, but I am fully committed to FM 107.1. Do I win something? FM 107.1, living life out loud.
This is Right Around the Get Real Guy.
Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said to be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man. I made 21. I want you to believe me, honey. We're having lots of fun. I'm a man. Yeah! I spell him.
All right, we're talking about Get Real Guys here on Get Real Girls. Angie, can we hear that little voice again? So cute.
This is Right Around the Get Real Guy.
That would be my little Get Real guy. He's 4.
And he is a get real guy.
He is.
Like, he doesn't care what anybody thinks about what Ryder's doing.
No, that's right. So, which makes me wonder, how are we like intentionally raising our boys to be get real guys? It's kind of unique because all 3 of us each have sons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My son is 4. Colleen, how old is Ollie now?
He's almost 8 months.
8 months, so he's a get real baby.
I want to get him a t-shirt.
Yeah. Jordan is a get real dude, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
He's 16.
16.
So all at various stages of parenting.
I know. You're right. You know, part of the thing about Ryder being 4 is that he's just in that awesome age where you can just, the world is
It's
your
his
oyster.
Absolutely.
And there is no worry about what people will think about him. And in fact, it's funny because sometimes when he will forget to say thank you or whatever, you know, I want to say, well, people, you know, will really like you more or whatever if you say thank you. But that doesn't even equate to a 4-year-old.
No.
You know, it's like,
I don't
why
care.
would I care?
Yeah.
And then we spend our whole lives trying to get back to the mentality of a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, trying to just be ourselves and dance down the Target aisle if you feel like it.
Right.
You know?
I can think of so many times that my husband and I have said to my son, just enjoy this time in your life. I mean, we've said that for years. Now he's 16 and he's getting close to having to make some decisions, you know, college, and he's got 2 years left of school. And I think one of the most important things, though, that I try to, really implement in him is relationships with women. in treating women with respect.
Mm-hmm.
And, just trying.
Well, how do you do that?
Oh, trying to cultivate that. Well, I think that, one of the things that comes up is, and at that age, I remember it well too, but, your social group,
right,
who you hang around with. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember a couple times I've said to Jordan, that girl there, and why don't you hang out with her? And
isn't that the kiss of death? Oh, great. My mom wants me to date
but,
her. No, thank you.
Well, and you know what? I have expressed my thoughts on a few girls that I think that would be good. But then his response to me is things like, Mom, if I dated her, it would be social suicide.
Oh, interesting.
So, but what I've tried to tell him is if girls have called the house, whether or not he is interested, calling the house, whatever, and they say, Jordan, please call me back. I always say, I want you to call her back.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to have the respect to return her phone call. If he has had bitter breakups, I always say to him, you know what? No nasty talk afterwards. Really try to cultivate a friendship. I've just tried to tell him that don't treat people the way you want to be treated. If you
or do treat people
I'm
the
sorry.
way you want. Yep.
Do treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And understand that if you do have a tough breakup with someone, give them respect, and it's really a tough thing.
I think that phrase social suicide is so fascinating because that's really kind of what everybody's trying to avoid every day of
And
their
that's
lives.
what it
Everybody
is.
just wants to belong.
You'll see somebody and I'll say, Jordan, who's that? And he'll be like, oh, whatever, blah, blah. But you might mention somebody's name. And I just was caught off guard one time. He said, oh, that's social suicide. It's like,
but you
okay,
make
that's
so
not gonna
many
happen.
decisions from day to day to avoid that social suicide. And pretty soon you have no idea who you are anymore.
Yeah.
I have to tell you guys I'm in a wedding later this afternoon, and last night was the rehearsal dinner, and it's the wedding of two very, very important and special friends in my life. And the male of the friends, the groom, last night was the groom's dinner, and his father did this beautiful, beautiful speech where he talked about one of the things that this friend of mine did is for 30 years, he's 30 years old, every year on his birthday, he gives his mom a flower and a card. And his father shared with him some of these cards that he had written to his mom. Things like, you are the most beautiful and spectacular person in this world. I want you to know how loved you are. And I looked over at my friend, who is the groom, during this rehearsal dinner. There had to be 80 people there. Some of his frat brothers were there. And I looked over at him, and the love and admiration for his mother and for his wife and for his bride and for his father and for the people around him. And he just got really teary. And I just felt so fortunate to be friends with such a man who didn't care that his father was sharing these little cards that he wrote.
Well, in fact, his father probably really helped instill that in him because he's celebrating that he was emotionally open and really respectful of his mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just really special. And I do feel like Matt and I learn a lot from watching other people parent. I think everybody does. But Matt and I make a conscious effort to point out things when they happen and say, let's do that. Like, we like that. Let's model that. And Matt and I looked at each other, both had tears in our eyes. Yeah. And there was a communication where we just said, let's do that with Oliver. This is the man we want to raise.
That is a huge deal.
At our friends and say, this is who we're trying to raise.
Right.
This is a good example.
That is something that my husband and I try to do to, not be afraid to show affection, to talk to each other in a respectful way in front of my son. Because you know what? When I was growing up, my mom and dad did not show affection to each other. It was kind of like this. Oh, my dad was kind of like, oh, I'm not going to kiss you in front of the kids, and we have this really great relationship where, and my husband will be the first to point out to my son if he thinks that he's not speaking in a respectful way to me. And I will do the same with Jordan, with his father. But I think that that's really an important thing. How your mother treats your father, vice versa. That's really a huge example.
I also want for Ryder to feel that he can do whatever the spirit moves him to, as long as, it's within some boundaries. But I think that we get so stuck in wanting to look kind of prim and proper. I remember one day a few weeks ago when we were going to the store, and he had like shorts and a little t-shirt on, and he really wanted to wear his big red galoshes, these huge rain boots. And, my husband was like, what? No, you can't go to the store wearing these big, it was, bright and sunny out. You can't wear big red boots to the store. And then I think we both kind of realized, well, actually, why can't
not?
he?
Yeah.
Right.
And he did wind up deciding to wear shoes in the end. But really, who cares? Is it that we're worried that the people at the store are going to look at us and think that we're crazy parents?
I think that's part. I do think that that's a big part of how some people view it.
But one of the things that I really have been drilling into my brain that I've learned from Byron Katie's work and a session that I attended with her is what other people think of me is none of my business. And so the same goes, for red boots as it does for what I do in my career. Those small and big decisions kind of create a life.
Yeah, at 8 months, people are always looking at Ollie and saying, oh, he's going to be a blank. He's going to be he moves around a lot. He's going to be a soccer player. And I have to be very careful to just stop and say, he is going to be whatever he wants to be.
Yeah.
But whatever he is, he will be perfectly Oliver.
Absolutely. That reminds me, actually, when Ryder was smaller, somebody asked him, Ryder, what are you going to be when you grow up? And he said, a man. I love it. We're celebrating men and Get Real Guys today on Get Real Girls. Coming up, we're going to talk to David Wagner, who is the creator of the Daymaker campaign, and it's such a cool campaign. So we're going to talk about that with him coming up after this.
FM 107.1.
I got no money in my pockets. I got a hole in my jeans. I had a job and I lost it, but it won't get to me. 'Cause I'm riding with my baby, and it's a brand new day. We're on the wheels of an angel, flying away. And the sun shining, and this road keeps winding through the prettiest country from Georgia to Tennessee. And I got the one I love beside me, my troubles behind me. I'm alive and I'm free. Who wouldn't want to be me?
You're listening to Get Real Girls, and we're celebrating Get Real Guys today. You know who's a Get Real Guy? David Wagner. He's a prime example of a guy living his best life. He is a world-renowned hairstylist, author, and businessman. He owns the highly successful jute salons in the Midwest and in California. And he has homes in Maui and the Twin Cities, which he shares with his wife and two adorable little girls. And nearly 20 years ago, he started the Daymaker movement, encouraging everybody to find happiness in making another person's day. Welcome to the show, David.
Good morning.
So good to have you. So tell us a little bit about the Daymaker movement, which you had the idea for almost 2 decades ago.
Yeah, it was 1986. I was traveling around the world and doing hair shows, and I was doing hair one time for a show, and I said to the audience, God, what if we brought the intention of making our client's day to work every day? How much fun that would be. And I got on my flight that night to go home, and I was sitting in first class because I was traveling around a lot, and this businessman looked at me in 1986, and I had this big rock and roll hair. You remember REO Speedwagon?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Who could forget?
I looked like that. And he said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a daymaker. And that was the first time that I said it. So he said, what's a daymaker? And I said, I make people's day. And he said, well, you must do it really well, because I was traveling in first class. So I went home. I went home the next day, and I changed my business card from stylist to daymaker.
Wow.
And I started handing it out to my clients, and they thought it was so cute. And I'd be out at parties, and I'd hand my card out, and they'd say, Daymaker, what's that? I said, oh, come into the salon, I'll make your day. And it was a few months later that daymaking went from cute to profound. A client of mine came in she came in every 5 weeks for a haircut, and in between appointments, she came in just to have her hair styled. So I thought she had something going on that evening or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, I just want to look good and feel good. And we spent a half hour where I just blew her hair dry and styled her hair for her. And she left, and she gave me this really big hug. And it was 2 days later, I got a note from this client. She said, thank you for being there without knowing that you were. The reason that she came in to look good was she was going to commit suicide that night.
Oh, my gosh.
And wanted to look good at her own funeral. And that was 20 years ago, and I still get goosebumps when I tell the story, like I'm reading the note for the first time, because what if I wouldn't have been there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean physically, but what if I was having a fight with my girlfriend, or something was going on with the business, or what if I just wasn't emotionally there? Her life certainly would have been different, but mine would have been too. So the other strange thing was she was so successful and happy and outgoing, and she just, you could have lined up 200 of my clients, and I would have never chosen her as the one. And I thought, God, what if I treated every one as if they were the one? So all of a sudden, daymaking went from cute to profound in that way. And, just realizing that you might be somebody's only angel of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that is so true. We just don't know everyone's story.
And so I adapted that role from daymaker stylist. When I got married, I became a daymaker husband. I've got two children, Ava and Coco, and I daymaker dad, daymaker stranger, letting people merge in traffic, is a service. And to live that way, all of a sudden, when you put your hat on, I don't list 10 random things that I need to do today to make someone's day. I just decide to be a day maker versus do day-making things. And when you decide to be a particular way in making people's day, the moments present themselves. People will need to merge. People need a door open for them. Somebody at work needs a kind note, or, lunch brought in for them, something like that. And those are the perfect moments because they're spontaneous.
Yeah.
And what creates the spontaneity is just your sense of being a particular way. And so anyway, I started living that way, started attracting, more employees that believed in the same thing, and started teaching people around the country the benefit of doing so. And then I went on tour with Deepak Chopra and Dr. Wayne Dyer and myself, and they both had books.
They're kind of smart. Couple of smart guys there.
It was amazing because people were lined up to buy books from Deepak and books from Wayne Dyer.
Sure.
And then they were standing in front of me saying, "Where's your book?" And I said, I'm a high school graduate with a year of beauty school. I didn't know we wrote books.
And you do.
But we do. So I went to Maui with my wife, and we I spent 4 months writing the book and just capturing my life as a daymaker. It's not theoretical. I tell people, I used to have 2 theories on raising children. Now I have 2 children. I don't have theories anymore. So the book is really my life as a daymaker. And I wrote
it's really like tangible stuff for people.
Yeah, it's daymaker, how to make your mate's day. In fact, when I decided to write about my wife, how I could make her day, I said, help me with this one. I really want to get this one right. So we were at a coffee shop, and I gave her a legal pad, and I said, write down 10 things that I could do to make your day. You want to know what they were?
What? Yes.
So number 1 was listen. Number 2, participate. Number 3, communicate. Number 4, listen. Number 5, participate. And then number 10 is repeat 1 through 9, right?
Oh, funny.
So that's when she was telling me it wasn't what she wanted me to do for her, it was what she wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so the book, I started selling it within salons around the country, and then got a publisher, and we went on a 22-city tour. We converted a Winnebago into a spa and went to Ronald McDonald houses and AIDS hospices, military camps for the wives, and I was lucky enough to get on Good Morning America, and the next week it became a bestseller. So
wow.
It's just, the world really, really needs this kind of message.
Yes, it does.
And you can, the daymakermovement.com is the the website. There's
Yep.
videos of people that are doing incredible things around the world, and
Yeah, we have a link
literally
to
hundreds
it.
of thousands of people that are participating in this.
Good.
David, we have to go to a break here, but I just wanted to quick say, I bet that in learning to make people's days, you also opened yourself up to having your day made a lot more. Because I think sometimes we just don't notice the things that make our day.
It's what goes around comes around, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is one of my mottos.
Yep.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, because I could see how someone would say, oh, well, that sounds like a lot of work, but there's so much benefit in being an angel for somebody else.
I share that there's two ways of giving. One is palm up, where you do it if you get the tip, or you'll do it if somebody does, as your friend. But there's always something in it, and you can always take it back. Daymakers go through life palm down, where they give it away with no expectation of what they get back. And that's the true magic, is that you can give and give and give, and you don't get depleted. Because when you give palm down without the expectation back, it actually, it gives you energy instead of depletes you.
So cool. Well, we've got a link to the Daymaker Movement website on the Get Real Girls page at fm107.fm. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thanks for making our day.
Well. Keep up the good work. It's not only cool to find your passion, but I think it's equally important to find your calling, which is finding a passion you're talented in, and the Get Real Girls certainly have done that.
Thank you. That's what makes you a Get Real guy.
Thank you so much, David.
All right, have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're going to get to my homework, which we still haven't gotten to. We're going to do that after the break.
And you're going to get marks because you're turning it in late.
I know, that's true. I'm going to have to
kidding.
do extra credit. Stay tuned.
FM 107.1.
Hey baby, look at me go, from zero to hero. You better take it from a geek like me. Well, I can save you from unoriginal dum-dums who wouldn't care if you complete them or not. So what, I got a short attention span, a Coke in my hand, because I'd rather have the afternoon relax and understand. My hip-hop and flip-flops, well, it don't stop at the light rock. My shot to mock you kinda puts me in the tight spot. The hype is nothing more than hoo-ha, so I'm developing the language and I'm calling it my own. So take a peek into the speaker and you'll see what I mean. That on the other side the grass is greener. I don't care what you might think about me. You get by without me if you I could be the one to take you home. Baby, we could rock the night alone. If we never get down, it wouldn't be a letdown. But sugar, don't forget what you already know, that I could be the one to turn you out. We could be the talk across the town. Don't judge it by the color, confuse it for another. You might regret what you let slip away, like the geek in the pink.
Oh, we love our geeks in the pink. We're talking about Get Real Guys here on Get Real Girls today. And earlier in the show, we did our homework, except not mine.
So now
we talk so much that we didn't have time. So what we did for our homework this week is that we had conversations with our husbands about what they think it means to be a Get Real Guy. And if you want to see Colleen and Julie's responses, just go to our webpage at fm107.fm. And we have pictures of ourselves with our cute hubbies. Mine is in glasses. And they were saying, oh, we don't even recognize
I don't
Robert.
see him very
in
often.
glasses.
I
Yeah.
love him in his glasses. I think he looks super cute. All right.
What is it about glasses? Because I get the same comment, too, when I have my glasses. It's my husband will be like, you look like the naughty teacher.
Oh, well.
The naughty librarian. Wear those
I
glasses
will tell
more
you
often.
to leave that when I saw the picture of your husband in the glasses, I did not think he looked like a naughty teacher.
Oh, thank God. All right. So I talked with my husband, and this was really a pleasant surprise for me.
And again, let's just say he didn't know that you were doing this for homework.
Right. So I just said, we're talking about Get Real Guys on the show this week. What do you think?
We tell them that later.
Yes. And and my husband, Brad, said that the person that he most considers to be a Get Real Guy is my brother, Kai.
Oh, that feels good.
Yes, my heart skipped a beat when he said it, because I just adore my little brother, and to know that my husband respects him for being kind of eternally authentic just really touched me. So here's what he said about Kai. He said, Kai is living his life unaffected by anyone else's opinion of him. He lives life the way he wants to on his terms, and there's no pretense with him. He doesn't pretend to be anything other than who he is. He's more real than most people, and he's more process-oriented than results-oriented. Most men need tangible results, whether it's a big title or a cool car, and I appreciate people who don't care. Which I just thought was really real. It was interesting because he said he didn't feel like he was quite a get real guy yet, that he's got a long way to go, which I thought was so honest and candid. I think most guys would be like, of course I am real. And he says that he still finds himself caring about what people think of him and that he'd like to be more genuine with people. And I just said, I really feel like the fact he recognizes those things in himself is pretty great. And, you know, that he's well on his way to being a get real guy. And I have to tell you, the cutest thing about our talk was that he said he sometimes lately just gets an incredible urge to dance. and so now he just allows himself to do it, usually in private, like in his office at work. He'll just, you know, bust a move. But
I'm going to have to peek through the window.
That's right.
Sometime.
I have witnessed him actually do it lately in front of people. Just like he doesn't stop the urge, you know. He figures, you know what? It's me. I'm going to do it. And I just think that that's like the ultimate way to let yourself kind of shine through.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And that is cool that Brad recognizes that in your brother.
I know.
You know, and that because that's a piece of you. And I also... Boy, I have seen a lot of changes as well with my brother. My brother is a new dad.
Oh, yes.
And it is really, and he is really taking a huge role in raising his little daughter. And I love that. And I see him becoming a get real guy. And that's really great.
I know. It's so cool to see. We've got Emily on the line. Emily, I know you called us earlier in the show and we couldn't get to you. Thanks for calling back.
No problem.
We want to know how your husband has kind of changed his life.
Well, about, when was it? April 30th, he had kind of a medical crisis crop up with himself and had to have emergency surgery. And it sort of, I think, made him a little bit more reevaluate how he was approaching things and how he was dealing with things. And we have 4 small children as well. And it just, the changes in him from just his kind of guyness.
Yeah, like what's one of the ways that you see a difference in him?
He's crying and he's admitting he's scared. And you know, before he had this last surgery last week, you know, he had for the first time admitted to me that he was really scared.
And that's so hard for many guys to do, to be kind of that vulnerable.
But then to open yourself up to that, it really opens an intimacy in your marriage.
Yeah, and he was forced to take help.
Yes,
to
right.
accept help, which is a biggie for him because he's used to taking care of me, you know, through 4 pregnancies and taking care of the kids and being He-Man, and all of a sudden he couldn't lift a gallon of milk.
Yeah. Incredible.
He had stitches, and you know.
Well, we wish you and your husband well. Thank you for the story, Emily.
Yep.
And you know, it is too bad that sometimes it's those traumas, those crises in life that make us reevaluate how we're living our lives, but sometimes they're there for a reason, kind of as a wake-up call. We're talking about get real guys. It sounds like Emily's got one in her home. And so do we, and we hope you do too. We're talking about that, and we'll be right back.
FM 107.1.
We've been talking about get real guys today. I don't know, for me, I feel like it's really exciting to know that more and more guys are getting real and that we don't need to drill it into them. They really need to crave the change themselves and take the steps on their own, but we can be waiting in the wings. We can inspire them with the way that we live our lives, and we just want to celebrate those of you guys out there who are keeping it real.
Woo!
Yes, and creating your best lives.
Waiting in the wings is my guy.
Yeah,
and what's really cool is when you're excited.
Excited to see him.
I'm not excited for the end of the show, but I'm excited because he's out the door.
Come see us at Skin Rejuvenation next week from 8 to 10. Skin Rejuvenation Clinic in Edina. Have a great weekend, and whatever you do, let the real you shine through.